Disclaimer, this is a long video, but there's a lot of knowledge in it. It's kind of a masterclass of sorts about my career, videos, vlogging, editing, filming, networking, professional sports, how I got to film people like Joe Burrow, how I got to work at the PLL. So this video is quite long. I understand that. There's bits and pieces in here that are very helpful. So that's the disclaimer, and let's get into it. A lot of people always ask me, Katie, could you make a video about how you edit? Katie, could you make a video about how you make these vlogs? Katie, could you talk about your career? Talk about sports videography, where do I start? What camera do I need? All this stuff. So today I thought a good use of my time would be to kind of put together a masterclass type vibe for you guys. My story, the importance of networking, filming, how to edit, how to reach out to people, how to film sports, how to achieve your goals. So this video will be all about that. So basically, to break it down for you, first, we're gonna talk about my story. Then we're gonna go into how I film. Then we're gonna enter into the editing world, what I use to edit, how I edit. Then we'll go into the importance of networking in this world. And then finally, I have asked you guys on my Instagram for some questions, and you guys have not disappointed. So I will go into a little Q&A at the end about this world. I might have just answered some of the questions like during the video because it was already a part of like the story or the points that I had made. So your question might already be answered, but the Q&A point in the video will be like in a timestamp down below if you guys just wanna watch the Q&A to see if your question got answered. If not, DM me, I will answer you. I'm very passionate about this stuff, and I'm very excited to share all of it with you guys today. So basically, my story. That's where this starts. I mean, none of this really makes sense without telling my story to you guys. So basically, I've always loved videography. I've always been passionate about it. Ever since I was a kid, I was making like music videos with my friends. I remember one time I made one to the song Replay, that song that's like, Shawty. I made that, and the whole thing was just in reverse, and I thought that was like so clever, and I was like so excited to show my mom. And then when I turned like 9, I think for Christmas that year, I got a flip video camera. The Christmas day, I filmed a video of my dad cooking a turkey. And it was like kind of a vlog, I don't know, it was kind of weird, but it like blew up because we made the title How to Cook a Turkey on whatever grill, and it blew up. And I was like, oh my gosh, and it was crazy. But that was like my first like real video. I look back and think, and it was my dad cooking a turkey. So then basically high school comes around, and I had always loved filming, but I wasn't doing very much of it for whatever reason, I don't really know. But so basically sophomore year, I was on JV lacrosse, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard the story 1,000 times, but not everyone has. So basically what happened was I was on JV lacrosse. I got pulled up for varsity playoffs, and my team was probably gonna go to states that year. And so I was just like happy to be there, a little JV kid, like vibing, whatever. And my birthday is May 18th. So May 19th is the state championship day. And I had gotten a concussion. So I was sidelined, and I wasn't gonna be playing in the game, obviously. So on my birthday, I got a GoPro camera that year from my parents. And the next day was the game, and so I filmed the game, like a little behind the scenes of the game. And I thought it was good, you know, like looking back, it's not that great, but I can run it up on the screen a little bit right here, but it wasn't that great, but whatever. It was my first video. I was really excited. I was like so pumped about it. And I remember the local newspaper reached out, and specifically the sports editor, and he was like, we would love you to do this for all your sports, because I played field hockey, basketball, and lacrosse at Severna Park. So he was like, we'd love these little like day in the life vibes. So I kept doing that. And then come next spring, I bought my first like real video camera, like where I could like zoom and stuff, like not a GoPro. And I filmed one of my boys' lacrosse team's games. And it was like a rivalry game, and they were really good that year, so they obviously won. And I put some music on it. I filtered the you-know-what out of it, and I put it on YouTube, and I was really pumped, and everyone seemed to like it. So filming sports kind of became a thing that I wanted to do. So entering now the summer before my senior year of high school. At that time, my local pro lacrosse team, I wanted to go film one of their games, and I had a friend who worked on the team, so she hooked me up with like a field pass, and I remember thinking it was like the biggest thing ever. And Miles Jones had just been traded to the team. Miles, you guys know Miles Jones, he's a professional lacrosse player. He had just been traded, and I was super pumped. And so I go down there like super early, like 5 hours early, and I'm like filming the little like parking lot in the stadium and stuff, and I was just like trying to get a good video. And I see Miles, and I go up to him, I ask him for a picture, and we get a picture together, and then I told him that I was gonna be filming the game, and he was like, oh yeah, cool. And then I filmed the game, he went off, and I made him a little highlight reel. And so I sent it to him, he loved it, and then on Instagram DMs, and then he asked me if I would text it to him, and I was like, oh my God. So I texted it to him, got his number, and I was like bragging to my friends that I got Miles Jones' number. It was like the sickest thing ever at the time. And so that kind of cultivated that first relationship with me and Miles. And then come December, he asked me if the next summer, so the summer after my senior year of high school, I would film all of his games, go down to Annapolis, film every single game, and make him an edit for Instagram for the next day. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, like it was a perfect dream job, like it was lit. So then I did that. The summer before college, I did that, and that kind of brought me onto the lacrosse scene. It got me more comfortable in the lacrosse world. I started meeting more people within the lacrosse world, and then I go off to college. So I go off to college in the fall. I'm still making videos. My Instagram following had gone up a little bit. East Coast Dies had known who I was. Paul Rabel, I was on his radar. So then I come back for Christmas break of my freshman year of college and I do a video with Paul. And that was a fun time. We talked about life. We talked about lacrosse. We talked about videography, what my goals were, what he was trying to do with Rabel Co. at the time. And it was cool. It was nice to have that mentor, that friend, very early on to kind of like help me keep going. So then the famous spring of my freshman year at USC, I start the vlog. And that was a crazy, crazy ride. It was unlike anything I'd ever done. I wasn't too comfortable on camera, but with the support of my teammates, I just kind of dove right in. We started a YouTube channel. It was on my channel, obviously, but we started vlogging and we did one a week for my entire spring semester of my freshman year. It was so fun. Those were the glory days. Izzy Flay, Kerrigan, the vibes, like we were going. It was vlogging the life of a D1 athlete. I started diving more into analytics there, like what's working, what's not, like what's the art of a vlog, how do I want to edit these, how do I want to keep people on their toes, keep people coming back. So that was really when I started getting more and more really into it. So then that summer I come home and I work for East Coast Dies, and that was great. I was filming more lacrosse, I was vlogging, it was a good summer. So then I go back in the fall, and it was now the fall of my sophomore year of college. The YouTube channel had gotten pretty big, and we kind of realized that I always wanted to keep things fresh. I never wanted to redo the same stuff over and over again because that's not very exciting. So I decided to start KT Verse, which is the series where I would take other athletes at USC, play them in their sport, and then teach them lacrosse. So that was a super fun video series. It blew up for me. It did so well and cultivated a lot of new relationships, a lot of new athletes at USC that I was becoming friends with, and you could kind of see that on camera. We vibed. It was a great time. Kerrigan was filming them, which was so cool. I think that added a lot of familiarity to the videos. It was so fun, and that worked. So then that December, I did daily vlogs of my sophomore year. I did daily vlogs for a very considerable amount of time. It was really something, and I was doing finals and lacrosse and daily vlogs. It was crazy. So then I kept vlogging, through the spring of my sophomore year, and then finally we get to my PLL internship. So it was the summer of 2019. I just finished my sophomore year at USC, and I start an internship at the Premier Lacrosse League. And I will get into later in the networking portion of this video how I got that job, but for now I just want to talk about what I did there. So I had always been filming and always been editing, and I get to the PLL, and what they needed me to do was edit. So basically on game day, we would have two shooters filming the game, and I would be sitting there at a table with my buddy Nick Bailey, who edited with me, and Lisa and Emma, who were the social coordinators for PLL. They run the team accounts. And so basically we would sit there at a table, the four of us, and the two people were shooting the games, and we were right by the field. So my laptop would be ready. I had to be prepared with songs, everything, and two cuts, the 16:9 and then the 4:5, which is for Instagram. And it was literally exhilarating. Like a good play would happen, and I would be like, oh my God, that was sick. And then I would just right away, I would grab the SD card from my computer, and I would pump out an edit, send it over to Emma and Lisa, boom, done. Like it was, and I did that like 20 times a game. It was sick. And so that was definitely a different skill set that I had to adjust to, and I ended up loving, was the quick editing, like go. And usually I'd been editing vlogs or editing, like when I went to Miles games the summer before, I was filming the whole time for 5 hours, and then I would get home and edit until like 2 in the morning. But this was just like go, and I loved it. And then during the week at the PLL, I was out in LA in the office, and I would get to work on more narrative stuff or longer form pieces for the PLL YouTube channel or whatever it was, player edits, anything. Like I just loved it. I would do anything they threw my way. It was an amazing summer and an amazing experience, and I started getting more confidence in kind of my skill set and what I could bring to the table for a pro sports league or a professional sports team. I loved it, and it was huge for my confidence, and I enjoyed the PLL so much. Then I get back to USC in the fall, and we vlog a little bit. There was some personal stuff going on, but wasn't vlogging too much when I got back from my junior fall, and then I go home for Christmas break, and I come back to USC in January of my junior year, this past January, and I quit the team. A lot of different reasons why. I will definitely get into that someday, but the bottom line is I wanted to pursue videography. I felt like I didn't have enough time, I didn't have enough resources, and I kind of felt like in my life there were two things dominating what I really wanted to do, one being lacrosse, one being video, and lacrosse was taking away from that, and I kind of had to reprioritize, and I was like, I need to chase my passion. Like I'll kick myself down the road if I don't. So the first day that I had quit lacrosse, literally that night, I'm in a gas station getting gas in LA, and I remembered that I got a DM from a guy in November, and he was like, hey, I'm a speed coach. A lot of guys are leaving their college to prepare for the NFL draft in January. I'm gonna be training them. And we got about 20 guys. We got all these big talents, and what do I have to do to get you to come film? And I was like, at the time in November, I was like, I can't do, like I have lacrosse. So then right when I quit, I was like, oh my gosh. So I DM'd him, and I was like, hey dude, like I don't know, I'm not gonna explain it right now, but I just freed up a lot of time. I'm good, like when do I start? And he was like, you start tomorrow. And it was an hour away from my campus, never looked back. I quit. The next day, I'm in my car at 4:45 to be there by 6 for the opening meeting, and I was in. I was hooked. I loved it. And I think I'm not the most talented filmer. I'm not the most talented editor, but what I really pride myself on, and I think I got through the vlogs, is that I'm very good at capturing an essence or capturing a vibe. So I think Lester, his name was Lester Spellman, the trainer, I think he saw my vlogs, honestly, not even like anything I had done for a pro sports team. I think he saw my vlogs and he was like, I want that vibe. Like I want people to watch my training videos on my account of these NFL players and wish they were there. I want next year's NFL prospects to wish they were on my to want to train with me. And that's something I've always loved doing. I mean, it's storytelling. It really is. It's telling a story, capturing a vibe. And I think those are the two biggest keys to successful videos on social media, easily. And that's kind of the end of my story now. For now, obviously, we're living in these unprecedented times, so I don't really know what's coming up. I mean, I'm still going to be posting every single Sunday on my YouTube channel and a new podcast every single Wednesday for the foreseeable future. So that's where my story kind of lies right now. And now I want to get into the principles of filming, of videography, and what, through that story, what I learned about filming. So the first thing I want to say is that the camera that you start with does not matter. I think a lot of people are turned off to social media, videography, editing, vlogging, because they think they don't have the right camera. And trust me, I used like 30 different cameras in high school because I kept wanting the next best one. And I mean, I was paying for them myself and I was blowing money on these cameras, and it doesn't really matter. I think the principles of a good video are a good story. And the way you can make a good story is by capturing real footage, like real raw storyline, not just having the best quality. I think obviously if you have a big budget, like you of course want the best quality, and I'm not knocking anybody who films with like great quality stuff. Like that's great. Like that obviously helps. Like that'll get more eyeballs on it. But when you start in high school or middle school, you should just capture it literally on your phone. Like it's all about the edit. It's all about making someone feel some type of way when they stumble upon your content. And by starting with a lesser camera, for me, it taught me how to edit, because I was like, okay, I'm not just like this footage is a pile of junk, so I need to be able to edit it and make it something really good. And I think that you can't just fall back on the quality of your footage and not tell a story, because I mean, some random person who's never filmed in their life could buy a really nice camera, but does that mean they know how to storytell? And I don't think that's true. But I will say, any camera in my experience that shoots 1080p, which is like a good quality of video, at 60 frames per second, which means you can slow it down and it'll be crispy, that to me is like the best starting camera at this point. Anything that does that. I wouldn't read too much into like anything but that. I think that's a good place to start. Another great piece of advice that I got early on from a mentor was it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And I think people don't get the access that they want in videography because they're scared to go up closer, or they're scared to get, whatever it is. Like, I think push it. Like, get the shot that you want. If you're filming your high school sports team, like go all the way to the sideline and wait till the ref has to tell you to move back. Like it's okay. I think you'd rather want to get that better shot and be told, excuse me, ma'am, like could you please move back, than not get it at all. You might as well try. So I think that's a good basis for high school stuff. Obviously college, pros, when you need more of a credential, that's a whole different animal. But I think for a lot of you who are asking me how to start filming at your high school, I think just go, like push it, like make friends with the coach, be on the sideline. That's what I did for my high school football team, and it was amazing. So you will get better over time. And I think the most important thing is literally just to jump in. Like my advice is I filmed everything. Like I filmed soccer, I filmed football, I filmed baseball, I filmed softball, basketball, girls basketball, I literally everything. Like my field hockey team, like it doesn't, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, it doesn't matter, like everything. Like, and it's a sacrifice for sure. There's a lot of late nights, but the more that you do this, it's just like anything, the better you'll get. And that to me is the most exciting part, is you can kind of see like my progress over the years, and I can see other people's progress. Like literally it is true, there's no substitute in this for work. Like the more you work at it, the better you will get, I guarantee you. All right, so now the third pillar here is edit. A lot of people also always ask me what I edit with. So I edit on Final Cut Pro on a laptop, and I know people who edit on their phone. I know people who edit using iMovie. It honestly doesn't matter. Final Cut for me, I've just been using it for a while, so I really enjoy it. But I know Paisley Johnson, the vlogger from BYU, she plays basketball there. She edits on her phone, and she's wildly successful. I know a couple other people in the industry on YouTube that use their phones to edit or use iMovie to edit. iMovie is a great place to start, and I think Final Cut is just like a little bit more of an advanced version of iMovie. Like it's very simple. It's like the same interface. So yeah, I think if you have a laptop, a MacBook, anything like an iPad, just start using iMovie, and I think that'll be a great place to start. I also use an external hard drive to store my libraries. So basically the way it works with anything really, iMovie, Final Cut, is that you have libraries. and that's like the big picture. And then you have events within the library. So say a library is like summer 2019, and then the little events are like PLO game 1, PLO game 2, PLO game 3, like vlog from when I visited Matty O'Brien's house, vlog from the Martha's Vineyard trip, like PLO game 6, like whatever. It's like, the events are what it sounds like, the events. And then within those events, you have clips and you have projects, and the projects are individual videos, and the clips are all the clips that you have from your camera when you import them in. It's very simple, and there's a lot of YouTube tutorials, a lot of things you can look up with like little specific problems that you might have. There's always an answer out there on the internet. What I like about editing is that everybody could have the same footage, but everybody's edit will be different, and I like to think of an edit as the way that you convey the feeling. So basically, I could take a video of a jump shot and a simple, okay, so say Jonah Matthews, game-winning jump shot against UCLA. I say I have that clip. I could make it hype. I could put like a Drake song. I could make it intense, like that, or I could make it sad, or I could make it happy. Like there's so many different ways using music and using your effects and your transitions that you can change the course of an edit, and that's what I think is really cool. I think any video on social media needs to convey some sort of emotion to somebody, whether it's making them laugh, making them upset, making them sad, making them nostalgic, anything like that. But I think that a good video does that. So the way that I edit my vlogs is that I don't like boring parts. Like I cut out the ums, I cut out the breaths. Like I like to just go, go, go. I always told people I just want people to be entertained, whether it's 2 minutes, 10 minutes, and no breaks, like nothing. And another good tip that I have for you guys is keeping people on their toes. So if you're editing a vlog, keep people on their toes. So I always have like the little John Cena music or like the subscribe thing. It's like, I just like to keep people's attention, keep people engaged. No boring parts of a vlog for me. That's just like a certain style. But yeah, that's always been the way that I edit in my vlogs. I like to keep them very high intensity, very funny. Always go, go, go. And another thing I think is when you're editing for YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, capture people's attention early, whether it's text or it's a certain sound effect or something. Our attention spans are short, and I think people are just gonna scroll right past if they're not entertained. So especially with the age of like TikTok and stuff, like you really only get like 3-4 seconds to capture somebody's attention. So I think it's important at the beginning to make a bang, like go in with a bang. And another thing is if you're going with a YouTube channel, I think it's good to build consistency over time. So keep using the same song over and over again, or keep using the same like little memes or little jokes in your videos. Like I use Transportin', the song by Kodak, and all my KT verse. Have people expect something when they get to your channel. So now we're gonna hop into networking. And networking is something that I love a lot because I'm a very outgoing, lively, fun person, and I like meeting new people. And I always have a good time with that. So the first thing I would say is the role of mentors. Mentors are huge. I've always looked up to different people in video, in social media, in YouTube, in pro sports, and I think when you can start to reach out to those people and they reach out back and you form a relationship that's basically them giving you advice and you sending them stuff and them telling you if it's good or not, and I think that's always been huge for me. The role of a mentor, I've really always really gotten a lot out of my mentors, and I'm extremely thankful for them. The first thing I would say about networking is you just have to do a good job for people. If you do a good job for somebody, they will repay you. Regardless of if it's unpaid, paid, they will recommend you. I mean, and I think a lot of people want credit these days, like you want the tag on like a video that somebody posts, like say I make an edit for an NFL player, and some people really want the tag, and I think the tag is important. Like some people think the tag is important. Some people think it'll bring them back to their profile, and they'll get more followers, but I personally think that if your video is good and an NFL player posts it, other NFL players, companies, his agency, his trainer, somebody's gonna reach out and say, who made that? And he will recommend you. So instead of the clout grab of the tag, and everybody does it differently, but instead of the tag, just make good content and it will always come back to you. People will ask who made that video for you, I guarantee you. And another thing is when you meet people on the job, vlogging or doing pro sports, video, anything, say hi, make a connection. I think early on in my career, like for example, when I started vlogging at USC, I went up to New York City to the lacrosse network to meet RJ and Tyler and Jordan, and I formed a relationship with them, and Tyler would help me with my YouTube channel, RJ would help me with vlogging, and it turns out the next summer that they were working at the PLL and they wanted me to join because they knew what I was about and they knew how I did my work, they knew how passionate I was about it, so it was a no-brainer. Like they wanted me on the team at the PLL. So I think you never know I don't think you should burn any bridges in this world, in this content space, and I think it's really important to just show people what you're about and always work hard, always work like somebody's watching, and you never know where somebody might end up and what opportunities that could afford you down the road. And also I'll say by filming different things, you get opened up into different worlds. Like I got that football opportunity and it was my first time ever filming any football. And they weren't even really playing football. They were training for football. The QBs were throwing and stuff, but now I have all these connections. I have all these pro football football players, NFL guys, trainers, like coaches, and they know me, they know my work, they know how hard I work, and it's just cool to think that I would not know any of them if I didn't take the leap and quit lacrosse and jump into that world and start driving down there every day. I got that opportunity and I sacrificed a lot. I quit the lacrosse team at USC. I was driving down at 4:45 in the morning 3 days a week to go down there, and I literally would not change a thing of it. It was literally so fun. I got introduced to a lot of new people. I was having a blast. It was great. So sacrifice in that regard. But the last thing I'll say about networking is that storytelling is about access. So one good example I'd like to bring up is with Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow does interviews all the time. He's a Heisman Trophy national champion quarterback, first pick. He does interviews all the time. And if you notice, all the interviews that he does, he gives the same answers because they all ask the same questions. But the people who have the most access with him are the people of Pardon My Take, the podcast on Barstool Sports. And they can ask him questions that nobody else can ask him because he is friends with them and he's close with them and he trusts that they're not going to paint him in a negative light. When I did the series with Izzy McMahon, the Izzy McMahon, the Mindset series on my YouTube channel, Izzy trusted me that I would tell her story and paint her in a positive light. People will open up to the camera if they trust the person behind the camera. I think you can't just be a camera and a body. You can't just be a fly on the wall. I think it's when you're invested and they're invested and they trust you, it's all about the trust factor. I learned this from Kyle Harrison, talked about this on Colin and Samir's podcast. He said, it's all about the access, it's all about the trust. And if you trust someone will put you out there in a positive light, then that's when you're most open and that's when you get the best content. If you truly want to advance in the sports media world, you have to be open to doing anything. I got to the PLL and I was not the most talented videographer on the team, so I didn't shoot video. Like, it's very simple. They were like, hey, Katie could really crush it in editing, and I did. And I took on that whole new role and I redefined my role at the PLL and I loved it. I literally loved it. And I wouldn't have even known that if I had been all stuck up about filming. I think people in this industry, you have to remain very humble and be real about your talents. Like, it's okay to admit that you're not the best videographer or the best cinematographer. I'm not, and I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses, and I'm always working at those. But I think if you can get real with yourself, that is like the number one thing, and then you can start to see what you can do for people that maybe they don't already have someone like that on their team. The last thing I have for you guys today is the Q&A section of this video. I hope that you guys got something out of the first part there. I know this video is a little long, but I'm trying to just offer up as much advice as I can, free advice, KT YouTube channel. So here we go with the Q&A. I asked you guys on Instagram at KT DeFeo for some questions, and you guys got me some questions, so I'm going to give you some answers. First, we have, what's my favorite type of video to film? I would say still to this day, my favorite type of video to film is a vlog with my friends. I think there's nothing like hanging out with my buddies, the vibes, we're listening to music, we're hanging out, we're laughing, and I'm just capturing all of it. Those are the best memories to look back on. Hands down, I love that type of video so much. Second, what technology do you use on your computer to make vlogs? So I already answered this a little bit, but I use Final Cut, I use an external hard drive, and I like to stay very organized there because it's easy to let stuff slip through the crack. So the next question is, what is a good setup what's my setup currently and a good starter? So I'll show you my setup now. I'm using a Canon 80D with a 10-18 lens and a Rode microphone. The next question is, how do I get noticed as a YouTuber while also balancing school and lacrosse? So it's a very good question. It was extremely difficult. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I sacrifice sleep a lot of the time, but I put all three as my top priorities, and that was very important to me. I wanted to do YouTube. I loved it. I get good grades in school, and I was passionate about lacrosse too, so I just made it work. I think if you really want to do something, you'll find the time to do it. Next question, if I'm interested in pursuing this, what's a good major? I'm a communications major at USC, but for me, it's never really been about the major. A lot of the stuff that I've learned about video and sports video and vlogging has all just been like through the trade, like out in the field. The next two questions are, how do you get people's permission to film and the right way to make connections in this world? Those are two questions I'm kind of going to morph into one. So I think the cold call DM still goes a long way. I think if you have videos on your profile that show your work and show what you're about, or you have your YouTube channel linked in your bio, whatever, I think you can shoot somebody a DM. I think it's very fair to say, hey, like, this is what I do. I'll film for you. I'll film for free. And I'd love to help you grow your brand. I'd love to help offer it up to them. Don't make it seem like you want it for some sort of like clout grab. Like, be like, hey, listen, I would love to help you grow your following. Next question, who was my biggest inspiration in videography? So honestly, one of my biggest inspirations as a young videographer in sports was Brett Roberts, and the other actually being Josh Rotman. And I now work with them at the PLL, and I don't know if they know this, but I literally watched all of their stuff. Brett was filming for Maryland Lacrosse, and Josh was filming for East Coast Dyes, and I just loved the way that they captured the essence of a lacrosse game. I was obsessed. Like, I watched all their stuff, and even if it had nothing to do with lacrosse, I loved it. I was always watching their stuff. I actually got to meet them, and I was like a little fangirl, and then we built that relationship, and I got close to them pretty quick, and they would help me out, and I would send them stuff, and they would give me their feedback, and they've always both been really good about that. The next question is, where do I find songs for my videos? That's a very good question. So first you have to obviously realize that a lot of songs will get removed on Instagram. Songs will get removed on YouTube due to copyright, so you have to test there. But the thing with me is I like to look on SoundCloud. I like to look at like what's trending now, what are songs people are listening to, what will resonate well. And again, I like to say that the music really creates the vibe of the edit. So it's all about that. So don't just put a good song that you think people will like. It's about the vibe. You want to make someone feel something when they watch it. Another good question is, how long does it take me to edit? It depends, honestly. Like I said, it's crazy. I was at the PLL doing edits in like 30 to a minute, like 30 seconds to a minute, and edit, boom, out. But when I have more time on my hands and stuff for my YouTube channel, I'm a little bit of like a perfectionist. I like to take a while to edit because I want the video to be perfect. Because I have all these expectations for myself on what a good video is, and I like to meet that every single time. And the last question is, how do I set myself apart? Because there's so many people in this business. That is an excellent, excellent question. And I think it's a little daunting, honestly, at first, like when you look at how good people are at this. For me, I know like I was nowhere near the best in even lacrosse. Like I'm still not even the best in lacrosse at what I do, but I think the way that I like to set myself apart is I think people can see the vibe that I bring to a certain situation. So for example, Lester Spellman, the speed trainer, he didn't want me to come film Joe Burrow because I'd get him the best highlights. He wanted me to film Joe Burrow and the guys because I bring a vibe, I bring an essence. Like I bring fun to I bring a fun edit, I bring behind the scenes access, I think I'm good at getting people to be their best selves on camera. I'm very outgoing, I'm very lively, so the first day I stepped onto that training field, I was already like meeting the guys, dapping them up, like talking to them about video and their goals and the draft and everything, and once you make those relationships, it's a lot easier to film and you feel more comfortable, and then the guys in turn will feel more comfortable. So I think that's one way that I like to separate myself, is just the vibe and the essence, and people know what they get because they can see some of my other work. I'm not going to give you the prettiest video, I'm not going to give you the best quality, transition, whatever, but I like to think that my videos people enjoy because they're fun. Wow, thank you guys so much for watching this video today. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, comment down below. Let me know if you have any more other questions that I didn't get to today. I'm all ears about this. I would love to help you guys out. I'm very passionate about this. So thank you again so much for watching, and fight on, and I'll see you guys next week. We have something big planned for next week's video too, so every Sunday, stay tuned, and my podcast, Connect with KT, drops every single Wednesday with a new guest. I will see you guys next week.